Hello, I'm a 19-year-old male. This experience happened when I was 16 years old. I first got the ideas of inhaling substances from school from some goth kids saying they did in the cafeteria. Me and my friends weren't part of this group of people, so I didn't talk to them, but I remember how much fun the idea of getting high on these would be. I heard them talking about Duster, and I remember my mom having a can of Sentry Duster. I figured this would do the job. Having heard about gas inhaling too, I thought, fuck it, might as well go all out. That thought will haunt me for the rest of my life. It was the long weekend, and I knew that one night I would have the house to myself like I usually did, because I was an only child, and that was something that I liked. Anyways, they finally left, and I put my plan to work. I went to the garage and got my dad's gas can, then I went and grabbed the duster from the cleaning cupboard. I went to my room, naive with both the gas and the duster, and got ready for a good time. I turned on my TV and set the gas and duster on my TV tray. I sat on my bed and kind of started getting nervous. I passed it off though, thinking that it wouldn't hurt me. Besides, those other kids did it and seemed fine. I first started with the duster. I thought I'd take a few hits and then go for the gas and a few of that and be done. So after taking a few deep breaths in preparation, I shook the duster can and fired the first hit. A warm feeling came over me and I really liked it. Then I got a little lightheaded too. It actually made me really hyper and stupid. I started taking hit after hit, almost full lungfuls. I think I did 8+ hits within 20 seconds. I was feeling a little more buzzed and my lungs were hurting, so I stopped with the duster. I then switched to the gas, practically laughing just at what I was doing, feeling rebellious and superior. Soon after I switched to the gas, I really felt the duster kicking in, and I started losing it. After 4-ish hits of gas, my lungs started burning pretty bad. I was still too stupid to realize that this could be seriously bad for me. Shortly after though, the pain started getting worse, and I was almost totally out of it, still not really feeling major effects, I think because I did it all so fast and was trying to get that done. But then all of a sudden, it hit me like a train. My mouth was on the gas for like 3 seconds before I realized I was still on my hands and knees breathing it in. I knocked it away, spilling it all over my carpet. I got up with my lungs feeling a little better. I didn't even think about cleaning the gas. I knew one thing though, that I was high for the first time, and very high at that. I at first thought it was pretty cool, and I was seeing specks of color here and there. Then all of a sudden, I kept seeing shadows move and things seemed to jump at me. This is when I started to panic. As my highs started getting closer to the top, my worst nightmare started coming true. I saw an image of death come out of the shadows. I screamed at the top of my lungs, thinking that this was the end. Getting higher, I was barely able to walk. As I ran away stumbling, I fell to the ground, hitting my arm on the glass table, destroying it, and seriously cutting my arm. By this point, I was not on the planet any longer, and as I got higher and higher, the sickness also got worse. It didn't help that I was bleeding on everything without even the common sense to patch it up and go to the washroom. While I was lying there on the floor, I looked up and I saw goblins and werewolves, sounds stupid I know, with my parents' heads in there, hands jumping at me and tearing my face off. My lungs got worse also by this point. I could barely breathe, throwing up everywhere. I tried to roll away and scream, but couldn't. I closed my eyes and just saw colors and fire, which made me believe I was in hell. Alternating between coughing, puking, and screaming, I was honestly wishing for death. All this happened within 5 minutes of my first duster puff. Suddenly, I don't know why, but the puking stopped and was unable to scream. My lungs still felt like they had been ripped from my body, but weren't as bad as before. I kept my eyes closed and all I could hear was evil laughter and Steve Urkel's voice saying, "Did I do that?" over and over in different tones. That's when I lost all bodily function. I seized up, stiff as a board, and pissed and shit myself. The thoughts are a blur after that, and I passed out. I woke up 2 hours later. I was still out of it, not able to keep my mind on one thing and still seeing colors, but I remembered that I inhaled. I passed out again. 4 hours later, I woke up, still fucked out of my mind, feeling like death. I looked over and saw the disaster I made with the outer part of my forearm cut almost to the bone, lying in blood with more still slowly seeping out. This made me extremely lightheaded, and I guess I rolled more than I thought because there was blood all over my basement floor. I crawled to the bathroom where I managed to wrap a towel around my arm. The act of going to the bathroom made my pain and sickness 100 times worse. After collapsing to the bathroom floor and puking the last of my bile, I passed out again. The next thing I heard was my mother screaming. My parents were home and my mom had found me in the bathroom. At first, they didn't know what happened. My mom stayed in the bathroom while my dad called 911 and looked around. He went in my room and then pieced together what I did. The ambulance got there and I was taken to the hospital where I was monitored, given drugs and an IV. The doctor told my parents I may have given myself brain damage. After being in a chemically induced coma for 2 days, I awoke and realized my strange surroundings. Only my mind was constantly wandering and I felt a major headache and couldn't think. I could barely remember my name or my parents or friends. After 2 weeks, I was let out of the hospital with my parents aware of the damage I did to myself. All my mother could ask was, "Why?" My father has pretty well disowned me because I am not the same person I used to be. My brain is altered. It is 3 years later now. I don't have friends because I can't socialize. I went from a normal healthy kid that was good in school with a high 80 average to a high school dropout who can't run 10 steps without having to stop for half a minute to catch my breath because I fucked my brain and lungs up. To this day, I still have a pounding headache and can't even walk straight. This story alone took me over 3 days off and on to write and without spelling check. You probably wouldn't read it to know that I am screwed for life, all because of one dumb mistake. I can only warn others that it's not worth it, and I wish I knew the dangers before I went and tried something stupid like that. My parents never left me home alone again. This happened a while ago when I was a dumbass kid trying to get high with no money. I'd convinced my mom to let me move my room into the garage, so I had privacy basically all the time, and one day while playing GTA 5, I see Trevor huffing gasoline from a cup and saying it was a cheap high that worked. It got me curious and I looked it up, ignoring the risks and warnings that were plastered all around it, and saw that it worked. So I go over to the gas tank and inhaled as much of the fumes that came from it and held it and got high as fuck like when I tried huffing Axe, and I was instantly in love. I would spend my whole day huffing gasoline in my bed till I stopped and felt sick as fuck for hours. I was doing this pretty regularly for a little bit, and same as usual, I'm huffing gas in my room, but this time nobody was home and I didn't have to hide it. So I was standing while huffing it in the middle of the garage. For some reason, I had no awareness of my surroundings and had no thoughts in my mind. And after a big inhale, I hold it, and from an out-of-body perspective, I see myself pass out and fall backwards, stabbing the back of my skull on a metal rod sticking out of the trailer that was behind me, and it was so brutal and so vivid. After I see myself die, I instantly snapped out of it and freaked the fuck out because I've never had anything like that happen, and I look behind me to see the exact same metal rod in the exact position it was in the vision, and if I'd fallen backwards, it would have played out exactly the same. I freaked out and stopped huffing after that, leaving me to think what showed me my fate if I didn't stop. I'm not religious and don't really think that there's a higher power, so it left me really freaked out, but whatever told me to stop that day, I am so grateful that it did. Just imagining someone coming into my room to see my head impaled with the gas tank next to me still makes me feel so ashamed. These are the kind of stories that Dare didn't come to your school to tell you about, but that's why I'm here. In case you are interested in huffing inhalants for whatever reason, just please don't even start. As you can hear from these stories, nothing good comes from it. If you really want to inhale something, just inhale weed smoke. Don't even think about doing this. And that goes for all inhalants, not just gasoline. I really hope all of you can get a lesson from this, even if you weren't even interested in the first place. This is just the view into the mind of someone that has chosen to go down this path, and the consequences that came from it. The first story especially, his life is probably ruined. But if you enjoyed these stories, please give this video a like and subscribe if you're new. I hope you all stay safe out there, and have a wonderful day.